Have you ever asked yourself, why does it always feel like I'm standing on the outside, even when I'm right in the middle of it all? You walk into rooms filled with people. You smile when you're supposed to. You speak the words they want to hear, and still the ache lingers. That quiet, stubborn ache telling you you don't belong here, and maybe you've spent years trying to silence it. You've tried to play their game. You've worn their masks. You've forced yourself into the molds they told you were necessary. You've followed the script, checked the boxes, blended in as best as you could. But something inside you always resisted that. No matter how perfectly you performed, you never truly fit in. And deep down, you've known this. You felt it in the hollow smiles, the shallow conversations, the exhausting charade of pretending to be someone you're not. It's not that you're broken. It's not that you're antisocial. It's not that you're lost. It's because this world isn't your home. And as much as that realization may sting, it also carries one of your greatest truths. Stay with me. Let this message settle beneath your skin, into your bones, into the quietest corners of your soul. By the time this is done, you'll remember. Not everything, not yet, but enough to breathe a little deeper. Enough to stop doubting your difference. Enough to see that your ache isn't your flaw, it's your map. And when this message reaches the part of you that's been waiting for confirmation, I invite you to pause, breathe, and write your deepest wish into the comments. Add the number 77 beside it. That number carries more than just digits. It carries frequency. A sacred reminder that wishes aligned with truth always find their way home. Now, I know you've struggled to explain this to others. You've tried to tell them why the parties feel empty, why the laughter sounds forced, why even surrounded by people, your spirit feels alone. You've tried to describe the ache, the one that gnaws at you when you're meant to feel joy, the one that lingers when everyone else seems content. But they don't understand, do they? And maybe, for a while, you believed them when they said, you were too sensitive, too intense, too different. You tried to shrink yourself, soften your edges, numb the parts of you that didn't fit their narrative. But the ache never left, because you weren't born to blend in. You weren't sent here to perform. You weren't designed to conform. There's a strange, haunting beauty in the loneliness of the chosen. You walk a road others can't see. You hear truths buried beneath noise. You feel the cracks in the illusion that most never notice. And because of that, yes, you will be misunderstood. But being misunderstood isn't the same as being lost. In fact, it's often the clearest proof that you remember what others have forgotten. Look around. This world rewards those who master the art of the mask. Those who smile on cue, play their role, chase approval like it's oxygen. But you, restless soul, were never built for the surface. You were wired for the depths. That's why the small talk drains you. That's why meaningless rituals feel suffocating. That's why the noise of this world sends you seeking silence. Because somewhere beneath all of this, you've always known there's more. More than the systems they uphold. More than the games they play. More than the empty promises of belonging that never truly satisfy. And that longing, that ache, that persistent sense of I don't belong here, it's not a weakness. It's not evidence that something's wrong with you. It's your soul whispering what you've always known, but tried to forget. You come from somewhere else, somewhere your light was never dimmed, somewhere your truth never had to hide, somewhere the ache in your chest didn't exist, because everything was aligned, everything made sense, everything pulsed with the frequency of home. But then you came here, not by accident, not by punishment, but by choice. You chose to descend into a world addicted to illusion. You chose to walk among those who forgot. You chose to carry the memory of another place, even when it isolated you, even when it made you question your own sanity. And that choice is why you never quite fit in. It's why, even as a child, the games they played felt wrong. It's why the rules they followed left you cold. It's why the lies they told made your soul recoil. You tried to follow. You tried to blend. But every attempt only deepened the ache, because you weren't sent here to forget. You were sent here to disrupt. To feel in a world that NUMB. Start to question in a world that obeys. To see through the illusion when everyone else celebrates it. And for that, you've paid a price. The loneliness. The rejection. The quiet moments when you wondered if you were crazy. The heavy days when you questioned your own worth. But let me tell you what you already know. Hidden beneath the doubt. Buried beneath the out. Noise, you're not broken. You're not defective. You're not a mistake. You are chosen. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, what if the ache in your chest isn't confusion, but the only thing left untouched by this world's illusions? What if your difference isn't a flaw, but sacred evidence you came here for more? You've tried to silence it. You've tried to blend in. But the ache never leaves, because you were never meant to forget. So if these words stir that buried, knowing, don't hesitate. Write your deepest truth in the comments with 77 beside it. And subscribe now, because your remembering starts here, and your soul deserves to finish what it began. Chosen to carry light into a place that forgot how to see. Chosen to walk barefoot through fire just to leave sparks for others to follow. Chosen to be the living proof that this world, for all its noise and distraction, is not the final destination. But I won't lie to you. It hasn't been easy. It won't be easy. You've tried to explain your difference, only to be met with blank stares. You've opened your heart, only to watch it be dismissed, misunderstood, betrayed. You've stood in crowds, smiled when expected, spoke when required, and still felt the aching void of misalignment. But that void, that ache, that persistent whisper that says, you don't belong here, it's not an error. It's your compass, a compass pointing beyond the illusions, beyond the temporary comforts, beyond the shallow definitions of success. Because while others build lives chasing applause and approval, your soul yearns for something deeper. Something real. Something eternal. And even in your lowest moments, even when doubt screams louder than your knowing, you feel it, that quiet hum beneath the chaos, that ancient ache that says, hold on, you're almost home. It's no coincidence you're here, hearing this now. It's not an accident that this message found its way to you. Your soul has been asking, begging for confirmation. For proof that your difference isn't a flaw, for validation that your ache isn't your weakness, for permission to finally exhale, to finally trust that maybe, just maybe, you were never meant to belong to this world in the first place. And this is that proof. You are not broken. You are not lost. You are not too sensitive, too intense, too much. You are exactly as you were designed to be. You are the reminder this world tried to bury, the quiet rebellion against numbness. The heartbeat of truth in a world addicted to illusion. And your ache, your difference, your longing for something more, it's your greatest strength. You never fit in because you weren't meant to. You never belonged because your soul remembers home. And every step you take in defiance of conformity, every time you choose authenticity over approval, every moment you refuse to trade truth for comfort, to edge closer to that home, closer to your essence. Closer to your mission. And even now, as you breathe through these words, your soul stirs with recognition. You're not crazy. You're not weak. You're remembering. And this is only the beginning. You've probably spent years wondering what's wrong with you, why every attempt to blend in feels exhausting, why even your highest moments in this world feel incomplete, why, no matter how hard you try to enjoy what everyone else seems obsessed with, the emptiness creeps back in. But hear me now, the emptiness is not your flaw. It's your truth trying to surface. You didn't come here to master their systems. You didn't come here to earn their applause. You didn't come here to be swallowed by their expectations. You came here to feel what they've forgotten, to remember what they've buried, to carry the memory of another place your soul still aches for. And yes, that ache is sacred. It's why you can't fake happiness at parties that drain you. It's why small talk feels like suffocation. It's why watching people chase status, approval, and surface-level satisfaction leaves you questioning everything. Because you see through the illusion. You've always seen through it. Even when you were too young to name it, you felt it. That quiet knowing that something about this world doesn't align with the deepest parts of your being. And for most of your life, they told you to silence that knowing, to harden, to toughen up, to numb yourself into fitting their mold. But your soul refused. Every attempt to shrink yourself into a version they'd accept only deepened the ache. Every compromise, every mask, every performance chipped away at your spirit until you couldn't deny it anymore. You don't belong in the shallow. You were never designed to. And maybe you've carried shame for that. Maybe you've blamed yourself for not being able to find satisfaction in what others seem to adore. Maybe you've questioned your sanity, your strength, your worth. But chosen one, there is nothing wrong with you. There never was. You didn't come here to conform to systems built on illusion. You didn't come here to celebrate what's false. You came here to disrupt, to awaken, to live so unapologetically in your truth that it rattles the cages they tried to keep you in. That's why this path feels heavy. That's why you felt isolated. That's why the roles they offer you, the titles, the expectations, the pre-packaged definitions of success feel like chains around your soul. Because your soul remembers. Freedom got the kind of freedom that can't be bought or sold. The kind that pulses through every fiber of your being when you choose truth over comfort. When you choose authenticity over acceptance. But the world doesn't make that easy, does it? It glorifies the mask. It rewards the performer. It praises those who lose themselves to gain approval. And yet, here you are refusing to disappear into the noise. And yes, that refusal has cost you. Friendships faded. Relationships crumbled. You've stood in rooms full of people, surrounded by laughter, and still felt like a stranger. But that loneliness, that ache, it's not punishment. It's preparation. The universe isolates the rarest souls before elevation. Not to hurt you, not to break you, but to strip away what isn't real, to make space for your remembrance. Because chosen one, you're remembering, is the greatest threat to the systems built on forgetting. And your presence, your truth, your refusal to conform, it awakens others. Even if they can't explain why, people feel it. They feel your energy unsettling what they've buried. They feel your eyes seeing beyond their masks. They feel your vibration reminding them of what they've silenced. And some will resist you for that. They'll call you too much, too intense, too sensitive, too complicated. But let me tell you the truth they fear, what they see reflected in you. Because you remind them that there's more. You remind them that the illusion isn't enough. You remind them of the ache they've numbed, the knowing they've buried, the truth they've abandoned. And your mission isn't to save them. Your mission is to stay true to yourself, even when the noise gets loud, even when the world tries to reshape you, even when you stand alone. And you've stood alone, haven't you? You've walked through seasons where the silence was deafening, where your heart begged for belonging, where you questioned whether it was worth it. But every tear, every moment of doubt, every quiet whisper in your soul pulling you back to your truth, that was the preparation. You didn't come here to be ordinary. You didn't come here to follow blindly. You didn't come here to lose yourself in their expectations. You came here to awaken, not to remember, not to embody what they forgot. And yes, that journey strips you. It breaks the false layers. It dismantles the lies. It cracks you open over and over again. But through the cracks, your light leaks out. And even when you feel lost, even when the ache feels unbearable, your light never dims. Your truth never disappears. Your soul never abandons you. It waits. It waits for the moment you stop running from your difference and start embracing it. And chosen one, that moment is now. It's no coincidence you're here, hearing this, feeling. The resonance pulse through your chest. Your soul has been calling for confirmation, for proof that your ache is sacred, for permission to trust your knowing, even when the world dismisses it. So pause. Breathe. Write your most honest wish in the comments. Let the number 77 carry your intention into the frequency of remembrance, not because it's a ritual, but because energy responds to alignment, because your soul is ready to stop hiding, because your truth deserves to be seen. You didn't come here to conform. You came here to disrupt, to awaken, to remind this world that numbness isn't living, and the ache you carry, it's your compass home. Maybe they've told you you're too sensitive. Maybe they've made you feel weak for feeling deeply, for caring too much, for noticing what they ignore. But let me tell you, now your sensitivity is not your flaw. It's your superpower. In a world built on numbness, to feel is rebellion. That's why you ache more than others. That's why betrayal cuts you deeper. That's why you grieve with a weight that feels unbearable at times. But that grief, that ache, that overwhelming empathy, it's proof your soul remembers something others have forgotten. You weren't sent here to become numb. You weren't sent here to harden your heart just to survive. You were sent here to feel the cracks, to absorb the undercurrents, to hold space for the emotions this world buries. And yes, that makes your life harder, because when you feel everything, the beauty, the pain, the lies, the longing, it gets heavy. It gets lonely. It gets exhausting carrying awareness in a world that worships ignorance. But your awareness is divine design. You see the pain behind the smiles. You hear the fear beneath the words. You feel the fractures in places others claim are whole. That's not because you're broken. It's because you came wired for truth. And truth doesn't play by the world's rules. Truth doesn't fit into polite conversation. Truth doesn't numb itself to survive. Your ability to feel the unseen, to sense the energy behind the illusion, that's not weakness. That's ancient memory rising to the surface. It's why you walk into a room and immediately feel the heaviness no one talks about. It's why you sit in silence and hear the echoes of things unsaid. It's why music moves you to tears. Sunsets stir your soul, and small moments crack your heart wide open. Your sensitivity is your compass. Your deep feeling is your reminder that this isn't your home, that this world, with its systems and masks and surface-level distractions, was never meant to satisfy you. And I know sometimes you wish you could switch it off. Sometimes you long for the numbness others seem to enjoy. Sometimes you resent how much you care, but caring is your calling. And feeling, as heavy as it gets, as how your soul navigates this place, you didn't come to shut down. You didn't come to fake smiles. You didn't come to forget the depth your spirit holds. You came to embody it, to live from it, to remind others what's real beneath the performance. And every tear you shed, every time your chest aches with a longing you can't explain, every quiet moment you wonder if you're too much, it's your soul whispering you were never meant to fit in. You were meant to awaken. You were meant to carry a frequency that shakes the numbness, that stirs the truth, that lights the path others can't yet see. So don't harden, don't numb, don't apologize for the depth you bring. The world may not celebrate your sensitivity, but your soul knows it's sacred. And when you feel ready, when the ache rises and your knowing sharpens, leave your mark. Write your truth in the comments. Let 77 follow your words, anchoring your energy in this space, not for approval, but for alignment, for remembrance. You're not broken for feeling too much. You're remembering. You've probably wondered why your life feels like walking through fog sometimes. Why, no matter how many people surround you, there's this invisible wall between you and the rest of the world. It's not made of bricks. It's made of frequency, a vibration you carry that most don't recognize because they've forgotten their own. And I know it's exhausting. You've spent years trying to decode it. You've questioned if you're broken, if you're the problem, if somehow you missed the part where everyone else figured out how to belong, but you didn't miss anything. You weren't designed to belong here in the first place. That ache of isolation, it's not punishment. It's protection. The universe pulls the rarest souls aside before elevation. It wraps you in quiet, not to hurt you, but to sharpen you, to prepare you, to awaken you. Because to walk the path of truth, you must first walk alone. It's in the silence that your knowing grows louder. It's in the absence of belonging that your soul remembers where it truly belongs. And where you belong isn't here. Not in the shallow games they play. Not in the systems built to distract. Not in the constant performance of pretending to be someone you're not. You belong to something older, something pure, something beyond the limitations of this temporary world. And that's why you've always struggled to fit into the boxes they tried to place you in. They've been told to conform. To dim your light, to mute your knowing, to ignore the ache, but your soul resisted. It whispered louder each time, there's more than this, more than the surface, more than the illusion. And every time you tried to silence that whisper, it only returned stronger. Because the ache of not belonging isn't weakness, it's memory. It's your soul remembering the home it left behind. A place where truth isn't punished, where love isn't earned, where you don't have to shrink to feel safe. That's why the parties feel empty, why the small talk leaves you drained, why even the highest, earthly moments never quite satisfy you. It's not because you're ungrateful. It's because your spirit knows this isn't it. You came here not to blend in, but to remind this world there's more. You came here to hold the frequency of what others buried. You came here to live from your heart, even when it breaks 1,000 times. And yes, the ache hurts. Yes, the loneliness cuts deep. Yes, the misunderstanding feels unbearable some days. But hear this, the universe never wastes pain. Every tear you've cried has watered something sacred within you. Every crack in your heart lets the light pour through. Every quiet night spent questioning your place has been preparing you to rise. You've been isolated, yes, but not abandoned. You've been tested, yes, but not forgotten. You've been stripped down, yes, but only to reveal the unshakable truth beneath the surface. You're not here to survive in their system. You're here to awaken, to disrupt, to live as proof that truth still breathes, even in a world asleep. At the wheel, and your loneliness? It's not a flaw. It's a signpost pointing you back to your origin. Back to your essence. Back to the place your soul calls home. So breathe. Let the ache remind you. Let the silence sharpen you. And when the longing rises, when your heart aches with a homesickness you can't explain, leave your truth in the comments. Let the number 77 carry your energy into alignment. Not for approval. But for remembrance. You didn't come here to belong. You came here to awaken. And your loneliness? That's your preparation for something greater. It's hard, isn't it? Carrying the ache of not belonging. Walking through this life with your heart wide open, only to feel like no one truly sees you. But I'll tell you something they never taught you. The isolation isn't punishment. It's preparation. The universe doesn't waste the ache. It doesn't waste the loneliness. Every quiet moment, every unanswered question, every restless night staring at the ceiling, it's been shaping you, because those who carry light must. Be prepared to walk through darkness first, and you've walked it. You've walked through rooms full of people where you smiled, but your soul felt invisible. You've shared your truth only to be dismissed, misunderstood, rejected. You've tried to silence your difference just to feel a little less alone. But no matter how hard you tried to blend in, your spirit refused, because your difference, it's not negotiable. It's the evidence of your assignment. The reason you never quite felt at home in this world is because you weren't sent here to be at home. You were sent here to be the reminder that comfort isn't the goal, that belonging to broken systems isn't success, that molding yourself to fit an illusion only dims the very light this world is starving for. And that light? You carry it, even when you feel dimmed, even when you feel forgotten, even when your heart aches with the weight of being different. You're still carrying the vibration of something eternal. And that's why the isolation feels unbearable some days. Because deep down, your soul remembers community. But the kind of community your soul longs for, it doesn't exist in the illusion. It exists in alignment. In truth, and the spaces between words, where energy speaks louder than language. And until you find those spaces, until you find those aligned souls walking the same quiet, aching road, the loneliness serves you. It strips away the false. It sharpens your awareness. It protects your mission. Because awakening doesn't happen in comfort. It happens in the cracks. It happens in the spaces where you feel most out of place, because that's where your soul is, forced to remember its origin. You weren't sent here to belong. You were sent here to awaken, and the ache, the isolation, the longing for something more, it's proof you're doing exactly that. You've probably felt it for as long as you can remember, the quiet pull in your chest, the constant ache that tells you this isn't where you belong. It's not arrogance, it's not rebellion. It's recognition, a quiet knowing that your soul didn't come from here, that this world, for all its noise, chaos, and distractions, is not your final destination. And maybe that knowing has made life harder, because how do you explain to others that the systems they're building their lives on don't make sense to you? How do you tell them that the dreams they chase feel empty to your spirit? How do you admit that no amount of applause, approval, or comfort can quiet the ache in your heart? They say get a job, get married, settle down, and you've tried. Haven't you? You've tried to obey. You've tried to play the part. You've tried to lose yourself in the routines that seem to satisfy everyone else. But every attempt only deepens the ache, because your soul wasn't sent here for comfort. It was sent here for mission. And mission doesn't feel like belonging. It feels like questioning. It feels like disruption. It feels like carrying a frequency that shakes the systems others cling to for safety. That's why your journey has been so hard, not because you're unlucky, not because you recursed, but because you are rare, the old soul in a new age, the mystic in the modern world. The seer in a time of blindness. You weren't meant to follow the crowd. You were meant to walk ahead of it, even when no one follows, even when they laugh, even when they resist, because you carry a different compass. You navigate by stars they can't see. You feel the currents they've forgotten. You hear the songs hidden beneath the noise. And yes, it makes you different. Yes, it isolates you. But your difference? It's your divine design. It's your reminder that you carry the map others lost. The blueprint for a way of living that's been buried beneath distraction, performance, and fear. And every time you try to shrink yourself to fit in, your soul resists, because pretending is a slow kind of death. And you weren't born to die slowly. You were born to live fiercely, even if that means walking alone for a while, even if that means being misunderstood, even if that means carrying the ache of belonging to a world your spirit doesn't recognize, because your presence here is not random. You are here to awaken something forgotten. You are here to stir others from their sleep. You are here to remind them that they too carry the map, buried beneath the layers of forgetting. And your courage to stand apart, it gives them permission to question your refusal to conform. It plants seeds of rebellion against the illusion. Your quiet knowing, it rattles the foundation of the false. And yes, it's exhausting, Yes, it's lonely, but the ache in your chest, that's proof of your purpose. That's your soul's whisper that this isn't home. But you carry the frequency of home within you. And when the longing rises, when the weight of your difference feels too heavy, leave your truth in the comments. Let the number 77 anchor your energy in this space. A space of remembrance, not for attention, but for alignment. For the quiet revolution of remembering who you are and why you came. You weren't meant to fit in. You were meant to lead, to live as the reminder others forgot they needed. And maybe, along the way, you've questioned your strength. You've wondered why carrying this difference feels so heavy. You've asked why the world seems built to drown out the very essence you came here to embody. But hear this, the system fears what you carry, because your presence disrupts the illusion. Your energy awakens the parts of people they've spent their whole lives trying to silence, and systems that profit from sleep. Don't welcome those who wake others up. That's why they've tried to reshape you, tried to convince you to be smaller, quieter, less intense, less curious, less aware, because your awareness makes you dangerous to the illusion. You see the cracks in the surface. You hear the truths buried beneath the noise. You feel the vibrations others ignore, and even when you've tried to numb that knowing, it rises. Your soul refuses to disappear, because you didn't come here to forget. You came here to remember and to remind others. But reminding others comes with resistance. It comes with loneliness. It comes with moments of questioning your worth, your sanity, your ability to keep going. And yet, here you are, still breathing, still carrying the map, still walking ahead, even when the path feels steep, even when no one follows. Because deep down, you know, you weren't built to blend in. You were designed to stand as proof that something greater exists beyond these walls, beyond these rules, beyond this temporary illusion. And every time you refuse to shrink, every time you choose authenticity over acceptance, every time you breathe through the ache of being different, you shift the frequency of this place. You awaken the buried knowing in others. You become the reminder they didn't know they needed. And no, it's not easy. No, it's not glamorous, but it's real. And real is what this world is starving for. So don't abandon your difference. Don't betray your depth. Don't silence your knowing. You weren't sent here to lose yourself. You were sent here to awaken and to be the quiet, rebellion against everything false. And maybe they've told you that being different is dangerous, that questioning the rules will isolate you, that following your own path means walking alone. And they were right. But here's what they never told. You, the ones who walk alone, they leave footprints. Footprints for those who lost their way, for those buried beneath the illusion, for those who forgot they were more than the roles they were handed. You're not here to convince them. You're not here to save them. You're here to remember, to embody the frequency of your origin, to awaken even when no one applauds, even when no one understands. Because when you awaken, your energy ripples out. It cracks the illusion. It stirs the forgotten knowing in those ready to remember. That's your power. That's your quiet revolution. And yes, it comes with ache, with silence, with moments where the weight of being different feels unbearable. But every time you live your truth despite the noise, you light the way for another soul still trapped in forgetting. You weren't made to fit. You were made to lead. Without force, but with frequency. And that frequency? It's alive in you. You've always felt it, haven't you? That quiet ache in your chest. The constant whisper telling you you are never meant to stay small dot. And for most of your life, you tried. You tried to silence the ache. You tried to mold yourself into what the world expected. You tried to smile at the surface-level conversations, to play the game, to walk the straight lines they painted for you. But no matter how hard you tried, the ache returned, because your soul remembers. It remembers where you came from. It remembers what you carry. It remembers that this world, this noisy, chaotic, fragmented place is not your home. And maybe you've spent years fighting that truth. Maybe you've convinced yourself that being different was a weakness, that feeling everything so deeply was a flaw, that the ache in your heart meant you were broken. But you're not broken. You're chosen. Chosen to carry the frequency of a place your eyes can't yet see, but your soul never forgot. And that's why you've never fit in. It was never a failure. It was design. You came here not to lose yourself in the illusion, but to remember, to awaken, to walk through this world, carrying the quiet proof that something greater exists. And that proof, it lives in your difference. It lives in the way you question what others accept. It lives in the way your heart aches for something more. It lives in the way you refuse to trade your truth for their approval. That's your rebellion. That's your mission. And no, it hasn't been easy. You've walked through silence. You've tasted the loneliness. You've stood in crowded rooms, surrounded by noise, yet felt utterly unseen. But that emptiness, that ache, it's sacred because it reminds you, this isn't the end. This isn't your destination. You carry the map home, not in your hands, but in your being. And every time you live your truth, even when it's hard, even when they misunderstand you, even when they tell you to stop feeling so much, you realign with that map. You remember who you are. You remember why you came. And you awaken the same knowing in others. Your difference disturbs the illusion. Your presence awakens the buried truth. Your refusal to conform shakes the system. And yes, it isolates you. Yes, it exhausts you. But that exhaustion, that loneliness, that ache, it's your soul's promise that your mission is still unfolding. You never fit in because you weren't made to. You are made to walk ahead. To question. To feel. To disrupt. To remind. And when the ache grows heavy, when the longing tightens your chest, when the world feels too loud and your soul feels invisible, leave your truth here. Write your deepest wish in the comments. Let the number 77 seal your energy into this moment. Not for validation, but for remembrance, for anchoring your knowing, for reminding yourself that you never fit. And because you never belong to the illusion, you belong to the light. To the truth. To the quiet revolution that starts within and ripples outward. So breathe. Feel the ache. Let it guide you, not break you. And never forget, your soul chose this. Your soul signed up to remember, to awaken, to remind others that there is more. And now you're doing exactly that. You never fit in. You never belonged to this noise. You came to disrupt it. Your ache, your difference, your longing, that's not your weakness. It's your map home. Maybe that's the part they never told you. That feeling different wasn't a mistake. It was the map. The reason you never fit in. The reason their games never satisfied you. Their words never settled you. Their structures always made you feel caged is because your soul was never built to stay small. You were designed for something greater. But here's the hard truth. They'll try to make you forget. The world will tell you to toughen up, to play along, to suppress the ache. They'll hand you masks and scripts and hollow dreams, hoping you'll trade your truth for comfort. But your soul, Your soul refuses dot no matter how many times you try to silence it. That quiet knowing rises again. That whisper reminding you that home isn't found in their systems. It's found in the alignment between who you are and why you came. And every time you betray that knowing, every time you try to blend in, the ache grows louder, the misalignment sharpens. The emptiness deepens dot because belonging isn't found in external approval dot. It's found in remembering your origin dot, and your origin? It exists beyond these walls, beyond the expectations, beyond the noise. That's why you've never felt fully settled here. Your heart beats in rhythm with another place. Your soul carries the frequency of a realm this world forgot. And even when it feels lonely, even when your difference isolates you, even when no one understands the ache in your chest, you're not lost. You're remembering piece by piece, breath by breath. You're awakening to the reason. You never fit in. You weren't made to. You were made to carry light dot, to embody truth dot, to disturb the illusion. And that ache you carry? It's sacred. It's your soul pointing you home.